Okay, so we're gonna move to the eyes. Everybody okay? This is gonna dry darker too. Okay, we're doing good. All right, so this is where I really need you to pay attention to this, because every time we do pet eyes in the studio, or human eyes, because we've painted Santa and we've painted other humans in the studio, people always put too much paint in them. Almost everybody. Our Santa classes this year, people pretty good about it because I talked about it for about 10 minutes. But this is where I need you to really pay attention, okay? Here in the eyes with Zoe, you'll see you have to look what's furthest back. Furthest back, you have the black behind this white part of the eye, okay? So you have this black back here. Do you see that? And then down here, I have a little bit of Van Dyke brown, a little white, and a little raw sienna, or a little burnt sienna. I see a little reddish brown in her eyes, just a touch, not much at all, okay? But this fades as it comes up. So what you need to do is we have to dry brush, all right? So we're going to take, you can take any short brush, or a brush that's a little bit stiffer. So you can use a round brush as long as it's stiffer. Don't use one that's like, let me give you an example. So if you have a brush that's super soft on the end, like super soft like this, bends a lot, don't use it. If you have a round brush with a little stiffer bristles, just a little bit, use that. I'm going to use this, this is a real tiny flat brush if you have a tiny filbert, anything like that. But this is a stiffer bristle. If you have a stiffer bristle, use it, okay? No water. Don't put any water in at all. I'm going to take my brown. I'm going to put this little pile over here, okay? And I'm going to wipe it off with the smallest amount of paint. I'm going to take a little bit of white, put it in that pile, okay? I want a little bit of raw sienna, tiny, tiny bit. I mean burnt sienna, I don't know why I keep saying that. Just a tiny bit. See how little paint I have here? We're going to start with that, all right? Remember also, whenever you're creating, I'm going to zoom in. Leslie, please remind me later to zoom out. Okay?
Okay, will do.
Okay, because I'm terrible about that. Okay, first of all, your brush can't be straight on. It needs to be at an angle. So you're lifting off and you're making a feathered mark. We don't want any harsh marks in the eyes at all, okay? So what I'm going to do, so you want to put them like a little bit on and then see if it shows up. If it's not showing up, add a tiny bit more white to it. Just a tiny bit. See how that pile is like dry? Dry. So I always mention to people to make sure that they even wipe it off before they get started. We're taking our pressure off as we're coming up to the highlight that's drawn in the eye, okay? I'm gonna go to the other side. I'd rather have less paint and get a little bit more than too much paint, okay? Getting my white, okay? I'm gonna go in here again, start at the bottom, lift off as you're coming up, take your pressure off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight more towards the center, because what happens is I want to kind of burn this into everybody's brain, okay? When it's bright, where it's brighter, it's going to look like it's coming out towards you, okay? So that's important. We want the eyes to look like they're round, okay? There's a couple things that are going to do that. So I'm going to put a little bit of white in here, a little bit, and build it up. Smallest amount of paint ever, okay? Start here. Lift off. Now don't take it to the sides as much. I'm very lightly touching that. So if you're a new painter, generally this is a common thing, so it's not just you, that people want to press hard and they want to use a lot of paint. You want to use the lightest touch, and your brush is like you're at an angle. You're like almost flat instead of like this, okay? So that's so important to dry brushing. All right, so we have that. You guys okay with that?
We're intently following you.
Okay. You're so nice. So how's everybody doing this week? Are you having a nice week? So
let's see, I wanted to point out that, wait, where'd it go? I lost it. Oh, somebody was so nice and said that we would keep Boyd in our prayers, which we all will.
Oh, thank you so much.
That was so nice. As soon as I find it when I scroll back. Oh, prayer. That was Sarah. Sarah Murdoch.
Oh,
Sarah
thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
He's been through the ringer because he battled an illness when he was younger. So I have no doubt there's some PTSD involved because he was put through things for about 4 years of his young life. And he's metal all through his back, his hips in his back, his ribs are clipped. Like he's amazing. And I just hate that he has to go through something else. But I'm like, you got to do what you got to do. Make a decision, you know. And so I'm proud of him, you know. So, but he worked hard to play baseball, so I don't want to see him give it up for an injury, you know. But okay, back to this. So I have a very small round brush, okay, just a smaller one with a smaller point. You need something very fine. If you need to use your script liner, do that. I'm just gonna get a little bit of white, okay, just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it, let's start on this side because I'm left-handed. All right, very lightly on the bottom part of this, I'm going to wiggle, and then I'm going to lift off as I come up here, okay? Lift off, so it's a little softer up there. Initially, this is going to look a little crazy to you, okay? But it's going to be fine. So I'm going to get a little bit more, put a little bit of water on my brush. I'm going to get my white. And then I'm just always try to like flatten this down, okay? Even if you're using your script liner, try to flatten it down so you have a nice, nice mark, all right? So I'm gonna wiggle this on purpose. I'm gonna dip it down like in the middle, okay? So I'm okay with that. All right, and then I'm gonna get rid of some chalk lines and add some highlights, okay? So I'm going to use the same brush and I'm going to water down a little bit of black. All right, a little bit of black. Maybe a little bit more. And you can use your script liner for this as well if you don't have a real fine brush. Remember, this isn't paint, these lines around the eyes. It's not paint. So we'll have to put, you know, our white highlights in there. Okay, so let's get that out first. All right. And then we can put in a little bit of our highlight over here. I'm not even sure why I traced that because it doesn't, I think I need a little bit more of my brown going across there, just a little. So I need a little bit of my eye color right there on the edge. I'll be okay. All right. So before we take out these lines that we have drawn right around the eyes, let's put a little bit of white around there and then we can go back in and carve the black out. You'll see what I mean. Let me get you need a script liner to do that. So you have a really nice fine brush, all right? So I'm gonna water down. Anytime we're using the script liner, you need some water in your paint. But yes, thank you so much for your prayers for him. I so appreciate it. His graduation's this week. It's like crazy town. Okay. So very lightly, make sure you have some water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right outside this line, okay, just a little bit, so I can end up putting some black in between there and the brown part of the eye. Very lightly pulling down a little bit of white here. And I'm also going to go on this bottom edge right here for our eye. Okay. Any questions, Leslie? You guys are so quiet.
No questions at all. People were just saying what they were doing this week, long busy weekend.
It is such a busy time of year. So I'm going to go over here.
Yeah, Carrie tore her kitchen apart today. Covers are out of the wall.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
Carolyn is in Florida, and she's trying to convince her husband to purchase a winter home.
Oh, how nice. That'd be so nice. I miss Florida. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, other than that, we don't want to take our eyes off of these eyes.
That was pretty good. You're fun. Okay, so then I'm going to wash my brush, all right? And I'm going to get my black. And we want to get rid of that line that's right inside the white, okay? Actually, I have one more thing to do on this left eye with some white, but I'll go back to it. So I want to go in here. I'm going to get I'm gonna like kind of carve that down a little bit. I'm gonna put some black in here, okay? Open this up a little bit too. And here as well. So as I'm getting closer to the eye, I'm gonna switch over to my round brush here shortly. I'm gonna do as much as I can with this brush, because remember, the bigger the brush, the less strokes, okay? As I'm coming down on the side, I'm gonna grab some of my raw sienna. All right. So did you guys state, like, is it okay? Do you want me to do some recorded ones as well? Because I thought I could get in a recorded one before we get back together on Tuesday again. What's your thoughts on that?
There was a response. Yeah, there was a response that said yes, sure, that would be fine.
Okay.
Although we do like asking questions, but we're not really asking a whole bunch. If we see any in there, of course, you know, I know that they'll get answered. So we're not afraid of it, and that would be a great idea.
Okay. So I'm going to flick some of these over here. All right. And then I'm just getting that like one edge right there. So I'm going to pull these down. So right here, I have these little tiny hairs right here. So they're shorter strokes. When they're little tiny hairs, they're short strokes. And you should be using a little round brush if they're tiny strokes too, okay? I'll show you in a minute. I kind of want to go a little bit further with all this, if you don't mind.
Don't mind at all.
So we can, if you want to make them all live, we can do that also. I didn't know what you would like the most. I'm here for you. So you let me know.
I mean, we like this for sure, but I think having some recorded ones would be good too. I mean, it's a nice mix.
Okay.
You know, then we get a little bit of both.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm leaning back, and you need to lean back and take a look at your colors, okay? So all I'm doing is I want to look at the colors. So I feel like I need a little bit more of just raw sienna up here, all right? I feel like it went a little too white, so I'm going to get maybe a little raw sienna, a little Van Dyke brown. I'm going to go here, okay? Get that a little bit darker there, all right? I'm going to pull a little bit.
Trisha said she loves the live.
Oh, yay. Okay. Thanks, Trisha. How are you? So I'm going to put a little bit of my brown through here as well, because I can see that on the other side. I'm going to pull a little bit more brown through here. White highlights I'm not worried about right now, because we're going to be adding white highlights galore. Okay. So, but I want to get down under the bottom of the eyes and around the eyes done, like just the basin today, okay? Okay, so what we want to do, I'm still using the 1/2 inch flat brush. I'm going to get this base color in under the eyes before I go and get a round brush and get some other little details in, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right up against this line, and I'm using my brush like at an angle again, all right? And I'm lifting off. And if you look here, I think this is better, Leslie, so I'm glad you said something. So I want you to see that there's a little bit of darkness right outside of this white line, like this white line outside the eye, all right? So I'm not going to go the whole way up. We can always put it back in. It's no big deal. But I'm going to start here, and I'm dry brushing. If you've taken any of our classes that have the dry brushing, it's the smallest amount of paint. You're lifting off, and we're using that back part of the brush like this, okay? I need to brighten it up a little bit, like right under the eyes here. And then we'll have to put dashes through here. There's a lot of dashes in making pets. Lots of dashes. Dry brushing, okay? So that's the base color right there, all right? So then I'm gonna do the same on the other side. And sometimes coloring is not identical on both sides. Remember that, okay? You have to look at your photo and see, because some pets aren't the same. But I'm pulling the smallest amount of paint. It's not a lot of paint, okay? Very light touch. And then I have a little bit that curves around through here, leaving some darkness underneath the eye. and you want to build it up. All right, this needs a little bit more white, like in through here. And we'll be using a round brush to add all those little tiny details, all right? Does that help more, Leslie?
For me, it does. How about nobody else has chimed in?
Okay.
But I like it. Let's see what others.
I think that it would help a little bit more. I'm going to get a little bit of that burnt sienna, the reddish color, and get it right in this like little line here, because that's where it kind of, you see the darker part of the fur right here. Do you see that? And then I'm going to take my raw sienna. This is Naples yellow I put on there, because if you don't have cad yellow and you have something like that, I think it's a nice, you know, highlight to put into the raw sienna. But if you have just cad yellow, you can put a little in raw sienna. But I feel like there's just a hint of like yellow in here. So I'm going to lift off around the dark line. And that's raw sienna. You have a touch of the yellow, okay? So I'm just going to go this far before I add a few things. And it has a little bit of the shade towards the end of there as well. But I'm going to add this, and then we'll go and we'll make some small marks around the eyes, all right? So because of my angle, I'm still looking now. Listen, the hair like shifts like where it goes. So this is like straight down, but over here it curves to the right. This is almost sideways. Look, then it goes that way. I want you to watch how the fur goes, you know, like this flicks out this way. But when we use our round brush and we make those little strokes, it'll make a little bit more of a difference, okay? But I want to get in here and I want to pull this across this way, all right? I'm going to get a little bit of white, a little bit. Do you know how hard it will be for me to keep my hands off of this? Like in between our sessions, like it's going to kill me. I'm really bad about like unfinished, like leaving things not, you know, finished. Whoops. Use your finger to rub that out if you do that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm not a good person to leave things on my easel and like look at it and ponder upon it. Like I have to finish it. So I might have to put it in the other room just to be safe.
Just so you don't see it, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a little bit more highlight here.
Okay, Cunningham said yes. She thinks seeing the picture is more helpful.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, Tina's back. Welcome back.
Hello, Tina. So I have my little round brush. You need a round brush with a really small point, little tiny point, okay? So let's do some work here. So I see these little pieces, you know, these little highlights right here. Sometimes, and it's just a little tiny like flicking stroke, or you can pull down one or the other, but they're light, you know. A lot of times you have to go and you have to put the, and I'm gonna use a little light yellow too. You have to go and put the black back in too, and then highlight again, you know, to get the depth that you want, all right? So we're gonna just work on this a little bit more here. All right, so I want you to look. We're gonna start looking to see where these highlights are, all right? And you can, they don't have to all necessarily be white. You wanna highlight them the colors that you see them, all right? Very short strokes here, all lifting off, all right? And then we have these little tiny ones here.
And Casey, is that a little bit chunky too?
It is a little chunky, yeah. I'm gonna go down here. We're gonna get, so this doesn't go to like solid black. You have to look closely to see the colors in there. I shouldn't have taped it down so you can see. There's a little bit of the, like the burnt sienna in there, and even a touch of red in that I see, just a little bit. Put a little bit more brown in there, but there's a little bit, I like to pick up every little color that I can when I'm working on a pet or a person, okay? And then over here, I have a little bit more, all right? So I'm actually going to get my black. I'm gonna water down my black, it is really important to have a very like small round brush, okay? So I'm gonna add, see this black, like these little flecks of black up here? They're just little dashes, but again, don't put them side by side, all right? And this is where if you need to get rid of your, you know, you wanna get rid of your lines that you made, you could, you know? It's a little too much water. I'm gonna touch that off a little.
Lynn said the picture is helpful too.
Okay, good. So there's this, see there's like this little area right here that it's almost solid black, all right? So I'm going to, you know, run my paintbrush through my marks. But I want to at least get, you know, one of these areas done for you. So I just want to get the black in first, then we'll go in with our highlights. All right, so these are just little dashes. That's what I'm seeing right here, a whole bunch of little dashes. Do you guys see them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are a bunch of little dashes over here too, but they're bigger, they're thicker. So pay attention to size, all right? And then over here, we'll have some darkness behind that as well. These edges will all clean up. You'll get a little bit of darkness back in there, okay? But that's why I don't want you guys to worry, all right? And then under here, let's get our black under here before we add more highlights. Just a little bit like, so you have this, there's a little bit of darkness right underneath your white line, all right? So you have that. And then we have this little piece that comes out here. In that piece, you have your brown and a little bit of, right here, I see a little bit of brown and burnt sienna. But it's not that dark, so I'm going to take a little bit of my white. And do you see how soft all my touches are? Very, very soft. Okay? So I also... Oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
Tina recognized that this is a dance back and forth with the colors that you're seeing at this point.
It is.
Yep, that's exactly what you're doing.
It's true. And so you really can't get that all in at one shot exactly, you know, like perfectly. It is a dance. You're very right. Very right. And so right here, this was my drawing. I need to take a little bit of that out. Okay. And so I wanted to get my black again. And you need water in this so you can make very fine little lines. So I'm going to make little, now pay attention right here. Really important. I need more water. Really important to make the dots or dashes. These are more dots up here. To make them going in the same direction as the fur. Okay. So that you see in your picture. You want to work on it in the same direction, okay? So I'm going to make, these are very fine, very light. So the finer the marks, the lighter the touch, okay?